Start streaming. All right, today we are going to challenge Drivesavers to fix this phone that we just got in today. This phone is from Lorena Thompson, and Lorena is sending this in with a note that says, you can read her note, that says, phone overheated and caused the phone to die and unable to turn on. Sent the phone to Drivesavers in California per Apple's reference, and was told the problem was due to a failed controller and unable to recover any data. I need to recover all the data from the iPhone, especially photos, videos, and notes. And then she's got, we always ask for as much detail as we can get. So the additional customer notes, looking to recover all photos and videos, notes specifically from September 2016 to February 2018, which is 30,000 plus photos and videos of my daughter from the day she was born to present. So that's tough. So we're going to try to help her out. iPhone 7s can be really hard, but we're going to give it a shot. Now, the reason why I wanted to do this kind of like Drivesavers challenge is because I am seeing kind of an uptick in these Drivesavers phones, and I've kind of thought about why that is. So let's take you over to my favorite place, the Apple Support Community Forum, and see what they have to say over there about what to do if your iPhone won't turn on and you have your precious data trapped on your phone. And so we've got this little answer right here from Apple Support Community Forum, which says, how do I get data recovery on a broken iPhone? And Sean W. on Apple Support Community Forum is telling people that there are Apple qualified data recovery specialists that can help you, and he's specifically listing Drivesavers, Kroll, and Seagate. Seagate, I don't think will even attempt iPhone data recovery, and Drivesavers and Kroll, they're really specialized for hard drive recovery. That's their business. iPhone data recovery is a completely different beast. So if we click over to Drivesavers itself and say, what do they have to say about iPhone data recovery? Are they saying, hey, you should send it to iPad Rehab where they live, eat, and breathe iPhone data recovery? No, they say through a special agreement with Apple, they have these special benefits. Drivesaver is authorized and recommended by Apple. Authorized by Apple and recommended to perform data recovery on data storage devices. That's what, authorized and recommended.
So you wouldn't want to attempt it without Apple's authorization.
That's right. Definitely not. And trust the expert. Discounted service prices. I mean, these things can cost $2,500. So getting a discount off of that would certainly be nice. Now, I would send my phone to Drivesavers. I even called them when I first started to find out what the deal was. And I don't think that Drivesavers is really in the business of iPhone data recovery, but maybe we're kind of painting them in a bad light unfairly. Let's find out. So this phone right here that just came from Drivesavers, let's open it up. So let's take a look and see if we also cannot recover the data, in which case we'll kind of be even Steven at 0 to 0. So let's get rid of this Chrome window, and we're going to open up the iPhone 7 and see what's the deal. Now, iPhone 7s have some signature faults, and some of those are truly unrecoverable. Sometimes they get just a really tough problem, the SD RAM short, which we are really putting a lot of resources into being able to solve. So Mark is going to be working on that pretty much full time next week, right, Mark?
That's right.
Yeah, might have our first successful stream on a SD RAM short. How about that, Mark?
Yeah,
that's the plan. Other iPhone 7 problems, a lot of them get these baseband CPU shorts, and Aaron Harrington from the independent repair community had some success with one of those. That's really exciting. I think in the last couple of weeks. So really kind of paying attention. Let's get this camera to wake back up. Paying attention to the repair community where folks talk and kind of this sort of it takes a village mentality. It's really important for being able to work together. It's sometimes one phone that really changes your understanding of an entire signature problem. And when you've got a lot of folks that are all trying to put their heads together to solve these problems, then you can really kind of make discoveries, and that one phone will really shine the light on a problem or make you think in a different way. And then, all of a sudden, an entire column of phones that had been sitting for a year will all get recovered. And that's some of my favorite times to be working in data recovery. What I hate about data recovery is seeing phones that were recoverable, that go to places that really aren't part of this sort of global independent repair community, that aren't really plugged in, that don't really kind of live, eat, breathe data recovery like some of these small shops. These, kind of big name places that get a lot of business, probably unfairly, based on being really, really good at marketing. So that's what I am aiming to kind of put a stop to. Because a lot of times with data recovery, you only have one chance to get your data recovered. And if you send it to the wrong place or you trust the wrong person, then you can make a recoverable phone turn unrecoverable. And that's devastating, I think. So I am out to point people towards the many great men and women that are just really, really thoughtful folks in smaller shops that really are putting their heart and soul into thinking about and understanding these problems, reverse engineering, and really kind of going the extra mile to get people's data recovered. Because the manufacturer really doesn't help you, especially if they're pointing you towards folks that are running marketing companies instead of bona fide iPhone data recovery companies. All right, let's check in with the chat, and let's see. Drivesavers reminds me of a wannabe superhero that has failed and now does strip mall openings. That's pretty fun. I think Drivesavers probably does. I mean, I don't know. I haven't used them for this, but my guess is that they probably do really well at hard drive recovery. I don't know. Maybe not.
That's what I always thought, but now I'm starting to have second thoughts.
Oh, really? Have you ever worked with them or sent them a drive for?
No, I've gotten quotes from them a couple of times for customers, like a decade ago when I was doing computer repair.
Yep.
Nobody wanted to pay, $1,400.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never done business with them, but it makes you wonder if it really is all just good marketing, and then
making the relationships so that if you get somebody to say you're the Apple authorized iPhone recoverer, that's pretty powerful. I mean, that's what.
Yeah, you get somebody saying that, and you're going to be getting a lot of stuff come in that just has no backlink.
Right, exactly. Right, that doesn't really have anything wrong with it at all. All right, so let's see what's wrong with this device. All right, so we've got the board out. So screws were all, I believe, in the right places, and this board, when I take it out, I can see that the stickers are on the back are missing, so that means at least somebody looked at it, so that's a good sign that somebody took it out and did some measuring. So let's do a visual exam on this and see what we can see. Let's get our microscope cam working, and hand cam can go to sleep. All right, and we'll push this away so that we don't have our little spot. All right, let's do our visual exam. All right, so this history is overheating and sudden death. Now that can point to some worrisome problems like the SD RAM short, so I would definitely be worried about that. It doesn't look like there's any water damage, but there are a couple of repairable problems. Heat generally is one of the better problems to have unless you have the SD RAM short. That's a really, really difficult short to solve on the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. All right, we've got somebody has been here before us and kind of written their name on the tree here, carved their name. So that looks like a number from another shop. All right, no water, no obvious signs of physical damage. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna stick it on the DC power supply and see if we can get a clue what kind of a fault it might have from its DC power supply signature. So let's wake up the hand cam again and let's pull that down so that you guys can see. We're looking here at our DC power supply to see what kind of a problem this is. Is this going to be some kind of a short circuit, or is it going to be some kind of a brain dead phone? What are we looking at? So I'm going to connect DC power. Okay, and right out of the gate, I see current consumption. That is not normal. That's actually a pretty good problem. I like it when I see that problem because in a normal phone, once you first connect that battery, or in their case, DC power supply, you should get zero current consumption because a phone that is just kind of hanging out at rest, that's not been told to boot, shouldn't be consuming current. That would just cause a really rapid battery drain. So that tells us that we have an inappropriate current consumption, a short circuit. There's an inappropriate path to ground. So let's see if we can find what line is it? What line? Now this is a pretty classic kind of a problem, a short circuit. I would really expect for most shops to be able to track down a short and solve it. So there's got to be something going on, something weird, because it is unusual that a professional data recovery company would not be able to find a short circuit. So maybe it's on some place that's going to be not repairable. I don't know. Let's go ahead and click back over, measure around and see what we can find. So let's start by checking out the main power rail. So here's our main power rail test point. And I'm going to put my multimeter in diode mode to test for shorts. Okay, our main power rail reading is 0.328 in diode mode. That's a normal reading. So that's a little bit of a surprise because, hey, you know, the main power rail, that would be a really good place for there to be a leak if you have a current draw right when you first connect the battery. All right, how about the battery then? Let's go ahead and just check right here in the battery connector. And we've got one side of the battery connector is ground, as we expect. So the other side, let's see, is it short to ground? No, 0.446 it says here on my multimeter in diode mode. That's a pretty normal reading. So it's not battery and it's not the main power rail. What else could it be? That's a little bit of an odd finding. Let's see what you guys have to say in chat. Paul Daniel says, nice to see a short immediately. Yes, we love to solve shorts. I was just telling Practical Board Repair School students today, you know, that we love shorts because shorts are solvable problems. They create signs, they make heat. You know, you can find them. They're the problem we always hope to get. But that doesn't make every problem a short circuit. All right, let's see. Let's see. Jessa, while you are there, will you take a diode reading on C3211? I'm trying to figure out if PP1V8 SD-RAM is short on mine. Thanks. All right. Well, I don't know where that cap is, but when I take a 1V8 SD-RAM reading on iPhone 7, I go over here. So I take my reading for 1V8 SD-RAM over here on this audio cap. So I believe this is an SD-RAM, and it's 0 and 0.288. So 0.288 with red probe on ground, black probe on the line with my Fluke 115 multimeter. So there you go. That's your 1V8 SD-RAM reading on your iPhone 7. All right, so let's hunt around and see if we can find a short. Let's test around to just see, do we have any of the fairly common shorts that are by the baseband PMIC. So we're just listening to see if any line is full short to ground. Now we expect to have one side of every cap will talk to ground, but not both sides. So when we hear that beep and not get a full beep, that tells us that those lines are good. So we're just kind of probing around to see if something jumps out at us at sort of these kind of hot spots. And so far, good news, because we don't like short circuits to be within the baseband CPU. We don't like to find them around the baseband power management chip where we just were checking out. Let's check around TriStar. So TriStar can sometimes just fall shorts with charger damage from using those gas station chargers. So we're going to check around. And we're not finding any shorts around there. We could check around the image or backlight area and see if we can find, just by chance, just kind of getting lucky. I don't think that's short though. Is it? Nope. And I can see probe marks, so somebody's been looking around here before. Not finding any shorts. All right, now one thing that's different, and this is a big one for the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, is that in addition to having just your regular main power rail, what's the equivalent of VCC main and all the other iPhones, we have a boost power rail. So let's go check on that. The boost main power rail that only kicks in a state of really, really low battery. So let's see, that is right here. I pick this cap to be my kind of tell for that line. So let's see. So with red probe on ground, oh, listen to that. Ground, and this is the line side, 0, 0, 0, 1, full short to ground. So now we've got a shorted line. Huzzah! A shorted line. So that's a great problem to solve, and that's a really unusual problem to overlook. That's a pretty common line, and I would expect that to be on anybody's radar screen. It's a branch of the main power rail in the phone, so it's really odd to me that that would be something that would be overlooked. But there doesn't appear to be any effort made in this phone to drill down and try to find out what is the cause. Why is that line short to ground? So it looks like we're in uncharted territory for this one, and let's kind of go off on our own. So let's find all the possible candidates. Every capacitor, every chip that could be the reason why this line has an inappropriate path to ground. So let's go on a hunt. I'm going to go over to our little helper tool of ZXW, zillion times work. If you're doing iPhone data recovery and you don't have ZXW, you should buy one from iPad Rehab Supply. You can go to iPadRehab.com and click on the supply store to pick up your ZXW tool so that you too can work a zillion times faster. All right, I'm going to head over to ZXW, and then I'll take you over here with me once I get oriented. So I'm going to look for that rail that we're looking for that we know is short in this device, and I'm going to click on it, and it's called PPVDD Boost. Remember, it's that boost power rails. Let's drag you guys over here. ZXW window, there we go, ZXW window. So I've clicked over here on the cap that we found was on a shorted line. That doesn't mean that cap is bad, but it's kind of a tell for the line. So these are all of our possible candidates as we look around. We could have a short from this cap within this little chip, and audio IC, that's a pretty good candidate. Audio IC likes to go bad. It could be any of these caps. The cap that we found it on, it could be internal to the power management chip. And let's see what else. Looks like that's it on this side of the board. And let's look on the top side of the board. And there's no spots on the top side of the board that are relevant to this short. So that seems like we really just kind of have a handful of candidates. So how should we proceed to figure out which one of these guys is actually the bad guy? So we've got a couple of different tools. One tool is visual exam. Does anybody look bad? Does they look like they are burned up and dysfunctional? Number two is experience. Have we ever seen this short before? And if so, what was it? Because things tend to fail in the same way. If there's a weak spot, it'll fail in multiple phones over time if you see enough cases. So experience, visual exam, and then if we can't figure that out, then we could use a heat signature and look to see, is anything that is getting hot more quickly than something else, that might be the actual cause of the short to ground. So let's start with experience and physical exam. And for me, I have seen this short before, and every time I've seen this short before, it has been this one cap that I just tested. So we'll start there. And let's get rid of our ZXW window. And let's kind of combine that with visual exam and just say, hey, hey, light bulb, start working. All right, let's look at this cap and say, does it look good or okay, or what do you think? Let's see. Let's see. So we have I would say there is a slight discoloration. What do you think, Mark? Does that thing have slight discoloration, or is that
Yeah, it looks like a turd on one end.
Yeah, you know, I mean, there's a little bit of the overfill splash up, and that's a little bit of a troll because it kind of makes things a little dark. So, you know, as we kind of look around, you know, I would say this one also looks similarly kind of maybe discolored, but it's just that splash up of the either the silicone or the underfill. So it's tough call, you know, but possibly. In any event, from using my tool of experience, I'm going to start with saying, let me just take that cap off and see if we can get a quick solution. If not, then I'll use the tool of heat to see if I can figure out what's going on. What do you think it's going to be, Mark?
I think it's going to be that cap.
I hope so, because then we could get out of here. Now I'm going to use our beloved tool that we've been telling everybody about, the bottom preheater. Oh man, it is making things like digging out this cap on an iPhone 7 board so much easier. So I'm going to go ahead and heat this board up on my bottom preheater. And we can click back over to hand camera so that you can see what that looks like.
Since I've started using that preheater, it's been the only time when I've kind of wanted one of those articulating arms.
Oh! Yes, the articulating arm. Look how easy. Up and down.
You know what I do at home? I figured out.
You pine for and look at pictures of articulating scopes and wish and dream.
I figured out that I can avoid having to adjust my boom arm if I've got it so that with my head of the microscope raised to its highest point, that's the right depth to just work on my work surface with a Barlow lens. And then if I take off the Barlow lens and lower and crank it down to its lowest setting, that's the exact right depth for the hot plate.
Well, that's pretty lucky, huh? Way to be practical.
Still pain in the ass.
All right, so let's go ahead and with our bottom preheater heating up this board, we can go to a relatively low heat and just see if we can kind of dig out this cap to make it easy to just pop it off without bothering anybody in the local area. Now, if you look at this cap, it's right next to a crystal. Oh, I don't want to hurt that thing. And it's next to a chip that's really, really delicate and sensitive that really doesn't like heat. So let's see if we can kind of free it a little bit. I think I'm not sure I'll be able to turn this in a way that you guys will be able to see because I gotta get my hand in there. Let's see. I don't think I'll be able to do it in a way that you guys can see. Alright, so we're just going to use the very, 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 very fine point tweezers to gently try and excavate out some of this substrate. That is a really awkward angle for me, so I think I'm going to have to put it. Is there any way that you guys can see that? Maybe like that. There we go. So if it's not this cap, then we're going to have to see what heat can tell us. Where is the hottest spot on this line? But I'm excited about this problem, although we don't know for sure. Having a short circuit on a relatively tidy line with not a whole lot of players is a pretty good position to be in when you're trying to recover 30,000 precious pictures. Alright, so there we go. We've gotten that dug out a little bit. So we'll go ahead and turn the heat off. Alright, Linus Tech Tips just did a Drivesavers video. I posted Jess's challenge in the video comment. Alright, well, we'll see if we're gonna be heroes or idiots coming up. Alright, so let's get this off. So we're going to use what I believe is the safest method to minimize risk to the board and just kind of scrub this guy off. Alright, so here is our cap is gone. And now we'll take this board off of the preheater, and we'll go back to microscope view. All right, and we will take a look. There we go. That's our spot. And now we'll see whether or not we still have a short. If we still have a short, then we're going to have to look further afield. So the reason why we took off this cap is just from experience. I've seen that cap be short before. All right, let's see. All right, so we still have a short on that line. My next thought would be audio IC, just because audio IC tends to, just get that sort of bendy flexion-based damage. But before going after audio IC, I would like to see whether or not we can get this short to declare itself with a heat signature. So to do that, I'm going to solder a wire to this rail and use that to inject the voltage and see if we can figure out where the heat is coming from. So we are going to solder a wire. Let's take you over to ZXW again. We're going to solder a wire. There you go, ZXW. We're going to solder a wire to the top side of the spot that we just took off, and that way we can inject some current just into this one line. So it's possible we could have a baseband PMU fault. That's a possibility. It could be audio IC, or it could be any one of these caps, or it could be down here at the bottom end of the board. So we're going to see if we can get one of these spots to declare themselves, sort of raise their hand as the to kind of focus our attention and see if we can figure it out. All right, so let's get ZXW put away, go by ZXW, get back to the microscope, and let's get a wire on there, see what we can do. All right, so let's get a wire. All righty, that's the 5 o'clock method. Yes, students were here today. It's practical board repair course week, and in fact next week I'm really excited because it looks like it's gonna be a smaller group. So if you are nearby, next week is a great week to come to course. It's kind of Easter week, and there's only a few folks that are signed up for next week, so that is going to be really relaxing. We're planning to have a lot of fun. And we were talking today, I think it was on day one on Monday, we solved one of the students' phones, and it was the 624 method of short detection, because I had to pick up my son at 6:30. So at 6:24 we were racing to find that short, which we did. Got that phone booted between 6:24 and 6:30 by kicking off that cap. All right, so here's a little bit of wire that we will use. All right, let's see if we can get this magnet wire. Yeah, we had fun today in the course. We had fun. We were talking about whether or not this kind of magnet wire that's used to build windings for stuff, whether or not it was insulated. And and we had a student that was like, "It's not insulated because I have built an electromagnet before, and it is insulated." So then we tossed him a roll and said, "Prove it!" And then he realized it was insulated, which makes sense. All right, so let's see if we can get this wire on our spot. I think my camera is a little bit out of alignment with the microscope.
That wasn't it, was it?
Nope. Yeah, you're like, oh, we're still working on this? Damn it.
Because it was the ground side that was discolored, which...
Yeah. And it wasn't really that different. Like when I see this cap over here, like it was not more discolored than some of these other ones with the underfill splash up. But I have seen that before, so I would go with experience first, and then visual exam first, then experience, then heat. That's what I would say. All right, let's see if we can inject a voltage into this rail. So this boost rail is, according to the schematic, it is something that kicks on. It's not something that we had in earlier iPhones. The iPhone 6 series did not have this kind of boost for the main power line, and those guys kind of suffer from this sudden failure when the battery gets really super low. So if the battery gets really depleted, then you go outside and it's cold, then your entire phone might cut off. All right, so we're gonna clip onto a ground. Let's see, maybe right here is good. So I think the iPhone 7 tried to solve that problem by adding this boost rail, which helps you out. Okay, so here we have our setup with our DC power supply. Let's see if we can turn this over so that you guys can see that. Oh, almost. We'll have to move that over to see it. All right, let's grab that and pull it down a little bit. There we go, DC power supply. And now you can see if I connect that, I've got my alligator clamp plugging in that VCC main battery power 4 volts, pressing it into the shorted line, and I've got the other clamp on ground. So now if I connect this up, you can see that we have a significant short. So how are we going to find the hotspot? Let's see if we go back to Microscope cam, and we'll get out of this as far as we can. And let's see what happens if we apply some cold freeze spray. We're going to chill everything down. And we're going to make a frozen tundra. Okay, and now let's see what gets, let's see where the heat is. What gets hot? So our wire is going to get hot. Ooh, look, it's getting hot down on this side. Let's freeze this down again and check. Is the bottom side of the phone getting hot first? All right, so here we are. Let's look at this bottom side, and we're going to activate that short again. Okay, there we go. Look at that. That's a pretty clear result. So we're going to freeze that down again so we can see it.
Wonder which cap it is.
All of them.
Maybe the one that's brown at both ends.
All right, let's see. All right, now let's really watch that. Here we go, and action. Boom. There we go. Okay, and now if we look at that whole board, everything is still icy. All right, so heat gave us a pretty serious clue that, hey, that guy's pretty much raising his hand. Pick me, pick me. Let's check first before we get excited and go, hey, that's our dude. Let's check to see whether or not he's on our shorted line. So let's go back over to ZXW and let's see. So over on ZXW, if we slide down here to the bottom side of the phone, oh, he's not. Look at that. Interesting. Interesting. All right, so the line that is short for us is VDD boost. That line is short. And so over here, we have this cap. Now, that is not the cap that heated up. The cap that heated up is this cap. So that cap is on a different line. Look at that line. PP16V0 Mesa. 16V0, that's a lot. And Mesa, what's Mesa? Mark, what's Mesa? Quick quiz.
Touch ID.
Touch ID, the fingerprint sensor. Yeah, so the Mesa chip is not on the board. It's down in the fingerprint sensor. And, so if you had a short on this line, then, that could happen if you had a problem down at your fingerprint sensor itself that caused a short to ground down there with a little bit of water damage, maybe something that you didn't notice, or just this cap could go bad. Now, if this cap went bad and you had a short on 16-volt Mesa line, that would generate a lot of heat. And this idea, this history that says, you know, phone is overheating, kind of points to that. So what is in common then between the line that is short VDD boost, that we know is short, and the obviously looking bad cap? So let's go back and look at that board again and take a look at that spot. So looking at this spot around the Mesa chip. So here is Mesa. Let's get some probes out. So here is Mesa, and look at this guy is obviously discolored. So let's check to see, is that line short? Well, let's find out. All right, let's see. Is this line short? Well, let's find out. Yes. All right, so what does that mean? So we've got two different shorts then. Did we solve our VDD short? I don't think so. Let's see. Nope. All right, so which one of these guys is the VDD nearby cap? Let's find out. Let's look and see which one is one of these guys.
That one right there with brown at both ends.
That's the 16.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a 16-volt Mesa. I mean, that's definitely short. But VDD boost is short. Is definitely short. And where's VDD boost? It's supposed to be that.
Slightly different layout.
It is a slightly different layout than our
So,
thing, which is the giant annoyance. Let's see. There may not be a
That
cap
may
in there.
not be.
May not be. All right, so here's where we're going with this. So the iPhone 7 comes in two versions, the GSM and the CDMA. And those are very similar, but there are some places on the board where there's a mismatch. So in parts of the board, like around the PMIC or around the audio IC, everything is the same. But when you start getting into sort of the cell phone, cell service section of the board, there's differences between the CDMA version and the GSM version. And there's also different failures and faults that each version will have. So if you put two boards side by side that are the different versions, when you start looking down in the bottom of the phone in this area, especially around here, there's really a lot of differences. And that makes it tough when our tools that we have, which again are just things that we have unearthed out of the world, or things that fell off a truck. It's the only information. The manufacturers do not allow us to have the information that we need. We have to figure everything out in order to be able to do jobs like this. So the information that we have is only for one version. So a lot of times we have to infer or make guesses in order to understand how the problem is presenting in the alternate version. And that's what's going on here. So what do we know? We know that in the version that has the information, we know that this little chip here is the Mesa Boost chip. Mesa Boost is something that's common in all iPhones with a fingerprint sensor, and we can guess that the burnt looking cap, I guess that, in the other version, that is the 16 volt Mesa Boost line. So let's look at that on ZXW so that you can see what we're talking about. So in ZXW, let's kind of bring that up. So in ZXW, we've got this coil, right? So this is an unrelated coil here going to chestnut and controlling image. Then this is the burnt looking cap that in this version is a 16V0 Mesa cap. All right, so if we click over to the other, this is just a 7. It's not a plus.
No, that's 7 plus.
This is.
Yeah. So this should be the version that you're working on. So if you were to go over here back to this VDD boost cap.
Yep.
And click it, even though it doesn't tell you the names of the components, it'll still highlight everything. I bet now.
Yeah, but this is.
No.
No, this is a 7 plus that we're looking at. We're working on a 7.
Oh, you're working on a 7. Then
yes. So let's go here. All right.
Sorry.
Yep. So here, now let's do the same thing. So this is the information that we have for this version. Let's click here. So VDD. Aha! This is where I was going with that before we were talking about this. So here's the thing. So where I'm going with this is that on the version that we've been working with, the ZXW version that we've been working with, has the cap that looks burnt as a 16V0 Mesa cap, which, you know, sometimes falls short and makes a lot of sense. That's a fingerprint sensor cap. And now that line then is, in the version that we're looking at, means that the VDD boost cap would be one of these ones that are up here. Now the VDD boost cap, this is not short, so that means it's not VDD boost in the phone that we're looking at, so something's different. There's two possibilities. One is that in this version, the burnt looking cap is not on the 16V0 Mesa line like it is in that position on the other board. So that's one possibility, that the burnt looking cap on this board is not the 16V0 Mesa line, but it's our line we already know is short, VDD boost. And that's probably what's going on. And the alternative is that, no, it is still the 16V0 Mesa cap, just like in the other version, that same cap next to Mesa in that same position, that it's the same cap, the same line between both versions, that they're a match in that spot, and that there are two shorts that are related because they are both they are kind of both together within the Mesa boost chip itself, meaning that maybe an event happened on the 16V0 line causing a short to ground, which then caused some heat to damage the Mesa chip itself, and that the Mesa chip, which has the VDD boost line going through it, that then caused the VDD boost failure. So in that scenario, we would have to clear two shorts, the 16V0 short and the VDD boost short, which would almost certainly be the bad cap plus Mesa boost chip. Or case one, which is where Mark and I were going by saying, hey, let's dig up what information do we have for this version of the board. And we can see if we switch over in ZXW, so let's click back to ZXW, and now we're switching over to this other version of iPhone 7. So instead of the iPhone 7 that we've been working with, so this version, we're going to switch over to the other iPhone 7, the 0188 board. And we're going to click here and say what's up with VDD boost. So that's line we know is shorted. And when we slide over here and look, we can see, in the position next to and under, next to the chestnut coil, in the position that's under the Mesa boost chip, that cap is the one that matches the one that looks really ugly on our board. So what should we do now? So now we are going to think like, all right, what's going on was case one, that only one line is short and that line is VDD boost. And the reason why it is short is because this physical damage. Now this physical damage is really jumping out at you. Look at these caps here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look how shiny they are on both sides. And then look at the cap that heated up. That cap is obviously dull on both sides. So that is almost certainly our bad cap. So let's just show you guys again that this line here is short. If we wanted to, we could go confirm. We could find the 16V0 Mesa line somewhere else and confirm that that is not short in this phone. But we will say that's the most likely scenario right here. Okay, there's Joe Hams. Good evening, Professor Jessa. All right, so let's see what happens if we gently, now usually a cap that looks like this is quite damaged, so it comes off. It just, just flicks away very easily without any risk to the board. All right, so we're going to pick that off, and then we are going to ask the question. We're going to go back to our VDD boost tell line here and say, hey, are you still short? So we're going to get a probe on ground, and now we're going to touch that line, and 0.385, it is no longer short. VDD boost is no longer short. Hooray, huzzah, it's a beautiful day. All right, let's take that wire off. and ask the question, now that we have solved a short circuit, we've cleared the short, we have relieved that path to ground, does that mean that this phone can boot? And it'll either be yes or no. So let's find out. Let's get the hand cam fired back up. And let's see what the result is. All right. Boot looping, just like every other one. Yeah, that's going to be tough because I'll want to put it aside, but I also kind of
do the audio IC jumpers.
Oh, heavens. Yeah. I do want to go the extra mile here, but it is also the end of a quite long day. All right, let's get our hand cam back and let's see what happens. Mark, would you do a repair like this on live stream?
A repair that's a short?
No. Repair where you're going to take an unknown board that Drivesavers just looked at and say, oh, maybe I can fix it. Do that live stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would. All right. Let's be aggressive here. Let's put a screen on it and like totally tempt some fate here. Let's see.
Why don't you put the screws back in it too?
Oh, wow! that would be a really funny video to just see if you could start some statistics on things like, if I say short solved, board's gonna work, put all the screws back in. How many times does that jinx you? Is jinxing a real thing in board repair? All right, so now we've got the screen loosely attached, and we're gonna go back to our DC power supply. So you guys will just nudge it over a little bit so that you guys can see that. There we go. All right, and let's see what happens when we connect our 7 connector from our DC power supply Octopus. So the last time we were here, when we were diagnosing this phone, we had current consumption even before prompting it to boot just by connecting the battery. And now it's holding 0. Yay, that's a big plus. All right, and let's see if this phone has a disappointing boot loop and we all cry. All right, so we're gonna prompt it to boot. So we're pressing that power button, prompt, 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 and we see an Apple logo. And let's just end the stream. All right, Apple logo, and we're watching that DC power supply. And I'm excited because it would have boot looped by now if it also had a baseband problem. So it doesn't appear to have a baseband-based boot loop. So that's good news for me. That puts it in the more solvable category. So it's either going to boot right now, which would be great, or I think it will have a solvable problem that we'd be able to continue on. Ooh, it brightened up. It's going to boot. I'm excited. This is going to be a success. Yay. And I am motivated to look for her passcode. All right. Let's see. Can you see the passcode on there? All right. This is going to boot. It's going to boot. It's going to boot. Okay. All right, come on, iPhone 7. You can do it. You can do it. I know it's been hard on you. You've had a really rough couple of weeks. I have faith in you. Oh, you know what it's going to do? It's going to hang. It's going to be audio IC hanging on Apple. But I bet that it's recognized by iTunes. Let's find out. All right, grab me a lightning cord so I can plug it in. This one's recovering that phone. Is that phone done recovering?
It's unplugged.
It's not lightning.
Oh.
I bet this phone is recognized by iTunes, and I'm going to guess that it's hanging out here on the Apple logo, which is a known issue. That is a signature fault. That is an audio IC fault. So let's see if that's true. So Mark's plugging us into the computer, and let's see if this phone can detect. Detect, mofo. Nope.
It's doing the 4.5 minute boot loop.
All right, then it's still going to be audio IC.
Yeah.
So Mark, you're up for the 4 jumpers on the audio IC to get this thing done. Because it's going to be a success now. Now I want this to to be proven. All right, let's see. Let's see. What's the best built iPhone model in your opinion? The best built iPhone model, in my opinion, is the iPhone SE.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I agree.
There you go. Yeah.
Before the SE, I would have said the 5S.
Yep. I mean, I like the SE. I think the SE is a fantastic phone. Unlike the iPhone 10, which is probably the worst.
You should make a flip phone.
Yes. Yes, a flip phone. It would be kind of fun to put this on our graph. Because it's really hanging for a long time at this sort of like one kind of thing. All right, let's see.
Yeah, that's a little abnormal. It's a little abnormal, but I mean, they do like hang out high and then drop low and then like peak a few times, and then that's usually near the end of the boot loop.
Yeah, it would be. It's almost worth it because that dongle is down there, and we could kind of show an audio IC based boot loop, which would be kind of cool. Yeah. Maybe, and it would be cool if like Drivesavers watches this video and then like learns how to fix some phones and get some data. All right, let's see. Yes, graph. All right.
That sounds like a great idea for tomorrow's stream.
I know, but this video I think needs to have success. Oh, says Mark. Oh yeah, it's too bad that it's after 10. I really think that this should boot. There's no real reason why it wouldn't boot other than audio IC. What about reflow of audio IC? What about pressure on audio IC?
Reflow is repair. I read that somewhere.
It feels a little hot. Right here.
Oh.
Yeah, pressure, baby.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. Yes!
Yes.
All right, what is it? Show me that. What is it?
100 to 1.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Trust. Yes. Trust this computer. Trust. All right, what is it? It's passcode again to trust 100-201?
Yep.
All right, there we go. There we go. And
done.
We're going to click that. And look! Yay! That is fantastic. We have a path to data. We don't have to do any audio IC work. Great for us. We get to go to bed. We get to get out of here. Video is shorter for you. And there you go. iPad Rehab for the win. Suck it, Drivesavers. And if you need data recovery, go to iPadRehab.com. Fill out a quote request, and we will stay up all night working on your phone next time. That's it for this one. Yay!